So my name is Haley Myers Dillon, and I'm the director of the Parents and Families program. And today we're going to tell you about some basics about coming to college and coming to Sacramento State. And we have some guests with us today. So we're going to talk for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to do question and answers at the end. So first, I just want to introduce our topic. We're going to be talking to families who are sending the first of their families to college and who may want to know a little bit about Sac State. We're going to be hearing from Dr. Chao Vang, from Pawan Wallace, and from Hakeem Croom. Chao, do you mind telling our guests a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Perfect. Thank you for inviting me, Haley, and for the guests, and for Hakeem and Pawan. I've been at Sac State for going on 13 years, off and on. For 2 years in that gap, I was an administrator at Natomas Unified School District, working at Natomas Middle and also Intercom High School. And prior to my career at Sac State, I was a high school teacher in Hiram Johnson, also Sac High. So I enjoy and I see the K-16 pipeline, the challenges first generation students face. In addition to that, I'm also a first gen myself. I was an EOP student, born and raised in Stockton, South Stockton, by the way, one of 10 kids, and my parents speak no English. So it's been a challenge, but I think that has made me who I am to be able to relate to students. So that's a little bit about who I am, and I look forward to this productive conversation today.
Thanks, Chao. Pawan, do you mind telling our guests and our families a little bit about who you are and what you do at Sac State?
Sure. So my name is Pawan Wallace. I'm the Senior Associate Director for Financial Aid and Scholarships. I've been with Sac State for almost 8.5 years. My entire career has been in higher education and specifically in financial aid. So I'm a UCD alum. I fell into my career there. I spent 14 years at UC Davis Financial Aid and Scholarships, and the rest of it I've been here at Sac State for the last 8.5. For me, how I fell into financial aid, I was a federal work study student when I was studying at UC Davis, and financial aid is, it's what's needed for students to success from a financial aspect in their higher education career. So it's, we're behind the scenes in that sense, doing the good work. And that's what excites me, to take that worry off of students' plate and how I'm going to fund for my education. It's very fast paced. For the most part, as long as things are going smooth, we're good. We do have students who encounter, some hardships, whether they're not eligible for enough or they've been schooled longer and have lost out on eligibility. And that's where the difficult conversations happen. But we still look at ways of how to mitigate and provide resources that may not be the ones that students really want, but ways to still make school happen. A little bit from a personal perspective for myself, I'm not a first gen from my family as far as college is concerned, but I am first gen in the sense having to navigate high school and then going on to getting my bachelor's and my master's in the United States. I moved from India when I was 13. So school was something always that I knew I was going to do, but just to navigate classes and what does that process look like. So when I work with students, I really, draw upon my own experience in helping them, keep in mind this, can I connect you here? So those warm handoffs really do matter. And that I, try to make sure that I get them to a warm body to help them with whatever questions they may have that are outside of my realm. So I'm excited to join you all here today.
Thanks, Pawan. And Hakeem, do you mind telling our families a little bit about who you are and what you do at Sac State?
Of course. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hakeem Croom. My pronouns are he, him, his. I serve as the program coordinator for the Martin Luther King Jr. Center. at Sac State. I also serve as the president of our Black Staff and Faculty Association. With the MLK Center, I've been at Sac State a little over a year. So I'm still relatively new, but not new in like higher ed. So I've been in higher ed for about 8 years, particularly as a student affairs practitioner, working, you know, in offices of diversity and inclusion, to student housing, to first year transition, orientation. So I've kind of had experience in all the different functions within student affairs. And so when it comes to, you know, serving students and all those type of things, I think looking at it from a holistic lens is always the best way to go. The things inside of the classroom, the academic pieces, and also the outside of the classroom experience, right? Because most times we know, you know, in stats and research to show the out of the class experiences, you know, definitely impact the inside the classroom experiences a lot. And so, so from a holistic lens is very important. So for myself, I'm from Harlem, New York. So excuse me if my accent may be coming out at some points. I may say my A's and my R's a little funny, and speak a little fast from time to time. But from Harlem, New York, I was first gen as well. I left Harlem, New York at 16 years old to go to a military boarding school in Waynesboro, Virginia, to play basketball. It was pretty random, but that's kind of how it worked out. And then from there, I went to a private liberal arts all-male college in Virginia. You know, worked in a K through 12 setting for about a year or two. Couldn't find a job for a while. Had to pay back Sally Mae loans at the time. Couldn't find a job, you know, trying to figure out what my next path was. And then landed in a position at my alma mater to serve as an assistant dean of inclusion and diversity. And I transitioned over to California about 3 years ago. And so I'm enjoying, you know, being on this side. I'm gonna have to worry about New York winters and West and East Coast winters. So and I'm the middle of 5 kids as well. And so that's a little bit about me. Thank you for having me.
Congrats on your 1 year at Sac State.
Hey, thank you.
Okay. So Chao is going to talk to us a little bit about Sac State business processes and timelines.
Thank you again, Haley. You know, providing context is important. So I started out as a freshman at Sac State, and I earned all 4 of my degrees there. So made at Sac State, you know, I live, eat, breathe, and work at Sac State. So these are partly from the lens of my position at Sac State, but also my experience as a student. And I hope that you know, you're able to take pieces of this and implement it to what you think is best for your own journey. For me, it was so important to ask for help and clarification. However, it is a challenge for first-gen students because they don't know the questions to ask. So it is more critically important for the faculty and staff and the professor administrators to understand that. Just see what's the appointment about how reaction help you. That is, I would say, the worst question you can ask a student when they see the person. I would say the report, and your story response to you, you'll be able to pick up by the help you.
Chao, I'm hearing a lot of feedback on your side. Maybe something on your microphone.
Okay, give me one second. I'm sorry.
Now you're muted, Chao.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little better. It's a little laggy. Let's.
Haley, can you move on to the next person and let me call in?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, I'll jump on in there. This is my slide. So I want to talk a little bit about expectations of your students, both like, you know, when it comes to academic pieces and just social things as well. When it comes to classes, you know, internet, all those different things, especially as it pertains to a virtual environment. And I think, you know, one thing that Chao said that I'll kind of reverberate a little bit or reiterate rather, he mentioned that as far as, you know, first gen students not knowing what questions to ask and knowing, you know, those pieces, that's very accurate. That's why it's super important with the work that we do with our like equity programs. I think that, you know, we oftentimes we put the onus on students to be, you know, college ready. Oftentimes, but our institutions need to be student ready, right? And knowing, as far as knowing how to serve all diverse populations, right? When it comes to everybody, different experiences and how we navigate institutions in college. So as far as some of the things I wanted to kind of touch base on, a few things in regards to internet, you know, right now it's super important, right? And making sure that, you know, that, and I think sometimes we assume that everybody has internet, right? And I think that's another piece that we need to talk about as well in regards to having access to these types of services. And so, you know, at Sac State, you know, we've done over the summer, we started offering hotspots to our community and to our students. And one of those hotspots is right in our parking structure 5. And so there's a lot of things that we do with our IT. You know, our parking structure 5, you know, you can go right to the parking structure, park your car, get a hotspot Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. So for some of our students who may not have access can utilize that. But I think the internet piece is super important. One thing that everybody's using, we're on Zoom right now. So everybody is Zooming. Zoomed out is now a verb. It's an action. You're zoomed out now, you know. So I think especially with Zoom, learning how to use Zoom, you know, going on the YouTube, learning about all the little tricks of Zoom, you know, your mic and your camera. You're making sure that, you know, if you're in a place that's noisy, you have some noise in the background, and mute yourself. If you're moving around, make sure that you turn your camera off, some of those things. I think as far as, you know, when it comes to the Zoom piece, you can access it in 2 different ways. You can access it through our Sac State website, and there's a link in there, csus.zoom.us, and go directly to our Sac State Zoom page. And then also you can download the Zoom app directly onto your laptop or mobile device. One of the things that we tell students all the time, check your emails. That is like the thing. Most of our communications are disseminated, all our information disseminated through email, from the president on down, from, you know, pertinent information in regards to school closures, you know, emergency notifications, to programming, to, you know, air quality stuff that's going on and having things inside or not, you know, not going outside, all the different things that we communicate. So it's imperative that, you know, your student is checking their email on a daily basis, right? And I know a lot of times they're forming these habits. So the easiest thing to do is like maybe set an alarm on your phone every day, like, you know, every day, 15 minutes, you know, set it for like, you know, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time works for you, set that alarm. You'll hear the alarm go off, you know, to check your CSU email, because that's the bulk of our communications come through our CSU email. I would also say in regards to the student center, that's a really, you know, important piece that students need to make sure that they know how to navigate their My Sac State and their student center. So in the student center, you can do a variety of things on your student center via your My Sac State. And so you can hit, you know, my.csus.edu and go right to your My Sac State, log in, you open it up. It has a bunch of different icons, but the most important one will be your student center. You click into your student center, opens it right up. You can enroll into classes. You can look at your financial records. You can see if you have any kind of holds on your account, or if any FAFSA paperwork wasn't completed, or you need to get a parent to sign a Parent Plus loan, or whatever those cases may be. It's all indicated and updated on the student center. One of the most important things I say to students right now, particularly as it pertains to classes and registering for next semester, you know, your student is going to meet with an advisor more than likely, but I think putting some of that for themselves to maybe look a little bit and have a little initiative when it comes to like learning about classes is going to their Keys Degrees toolbox. There's a few different things on there. One I'll talk about is a smart planner. Going into your smart planner, you know, looking at the classes that you could be forecasted to take in the next semester. If you're in a you know, a English 5 course, it will next semester will have you automatically like forecasted to be in the English 20, as like you could go into different levels and different areas in our A through G areas for general electives and graduation requirements. And so I would also add, there's an ARR, it's called an Academic Requirements Report. That's another like nice little tool inside the Keys to Degrees toolbox that shows you what things you are in progress for as far as your classes, you know, what other things need to be fulfilled as far as your classes, And so just kind of getting familiar with those pieces and kind of knowing like how many units you have to take in each area. So if you have earth sciences, you might have to take 9 units in this area. So kind of looking at some classes in those areas to make sure that you're on track. Of course, an advisor is going to go through that stuff with you, but you definitely want to make sure that you kind of try to familiarize yourself with those things as much as you can and be informed as well. Of course, last but not least, class and study expectations, right? There's all these different things when it comes to classes, study expectations, and how you approach it as a college student, right? And thinking about, it's different in high school. A lot of us came from being a big fish in a small pond. Now we in a big pond and we're small fish, right? A lot of things that we used to do, and you come to this whole new institution, 30,000 students trying to find your way and navigate it. So I think one of the biggest things is making sure that you communicate with your professors. I know sometimes professors can look a little intimidating, but I promise you, professors love when they have students come talk to them. That's one of the things they really appreciate, going to their office hours, seeking them out. And sometimes, they might have a particular relationship with you where, like, when it comes to grading, who knows? Like, this person showed initiative. This person was in my office hours trying to get help. And so those things that professors always take into mind. Even in my grad program, I just finished graduating from Sac State with my master's degree. And I remember I went to office hours one time. And my professor was like, nobody's really come to office hours. Now, I went, like, I didn't really need help, but I just wanted to just go over there and see how they were doing. I was in the area, just stuff like that professors really like, kind of, put you in a different lighting. And so make sure you check Canvas. Canvas is another piece that is on your My Sac State. You go into your My Sac State account. Canvas, a lot of the professors put, materials on there, homework assignments. You have discussion boards on there. Some other faculty are using other mechanisms to communicate as far as like what kind of homework, and assignments and things like that. But a lot of them are using Canvas. And so making sure that your student is checking Canvas, getting familiar with Canvas, know how to navigate that. Having agency over your education, right? I think as first generation students, a lot of us have had, imposter syndrome. We don't believe that we belong, and, we're not smart enough, but you are. You deserve to be there just like anybody else. This is your education. You take ownership of it, and make sure that you ask questions. You seek out resources. You seek out folks, seek out other students who may know people that know people, right? It's 6 degrees of separation. So making sure you have that agency over your education. You deserve to be at Sac State. Go to office hours. I said that before. Join study groups. If you have some students in the classes that, are killing it, they got A's and all these types of things they're doing. They know the material, definitely link up with them and have a study group, maybe a virtual study group. A lot of students are doing those things right now. Get tutoring from the Peer Academic Resource Center. We have a space in a service that's called PARC, PARC, a vital space. They have student instructors, tutors. Actually, we're going to work to have tutoring with the MLK Center for English and writing for students as far as those GE classes, making sure that folks are able to access online and virtual tutoring. It's a great space. They even have tutoring after dark. So you can go to the website, go to Sac State's website, type in PARC in the search bar, PARC, it'll come right up, and you'll be able to see all the things they're offering for the semester, how they can best assist you. Managing your time, this is big. Unlike high school, you didn't have to put a whole lot of time in sometimes. You could just, do a whole bunch of things, activities, and give a little amount to your homework. It's the reverse now. So if you got to have a new habit, you got to allocate time differently. A lot of first year students, students, especially when it comes to students in general, a lot of them, depending on their schedule, they might have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday that's pretty heavy with classes, and Tuesday, Thursday that's not as heavy. So making sure on your Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, you might, I'm gonna review all my notes on these days, and then Tuesday and Thursdays, I'm allocating time to do homework and all those types of things. Jumping on your homework and your assignments a week before time if you can, if you're in a position to do so. Jumping on it, just starting the homework, starting an assignment. You don't got to finish it, but kind of putting some things to it, and then you kind of get to it as you continue to, learn more material, get comfortable, and kind of continue to get that homework done. And so those are a few things that I definitely wanted to point out in regards to like just the internet piece, access, My Sac State, Student Center, and just class and study expectations. But I will say this, I'll end on this. This is your education. Again, the student deserves to be here. Let them know that. We're going to do what we have to do on our side to make sure that we reach out and connect. And so, the student has to do their part as well. It has to be a 50-50 there too. And so making sure that students are taking that initiative, stepping outside of their comfort zones, which can sometimes be a lot, but taking that step. And over time, they'll have so exponential growth. be a transformative experience for them as they transition into the real world at post-graduation. So thank you, appreciate you.
Thanks, Hakeem, for telling us those expectations of students. Let's go back a slide, and we'll have Dr. Vang talk to us. Sure.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. One moment. Let me get back.
No, sorry, we're in the age of Zoom. So I think my points are well covered by Hakeem, so I will be quick so we have enough time for Pawan and some questions. So as I said earlier, is ask for help and clarification. Someone knows something or someone. I always recommend students get multiple advice, go to 2 to 3 folks from different areas, not the same department. More likely or not, they will give you different recommendation. Also identify your resources, okay? Your resources for success. There's over 55 plus program in the Division of Student Affairs. You don't need all those programs. It's like going to a restaurant. It's a menu program. You identify what works best for you. So identify your success. So for example, I may want to go and know where the bursar's office is located. I may want to know where the parc, the peer academic resource, is located. Those may be the only 2 things I need as a student beyond going to class. Likewise for parents, you all should also be aware that there's 55 plus program to support your kiddos. One of the things that I recommend student and even parent is just mark key dates. On your end, if you're a parent, review the academic calendar for fall, spring, and summer. Know when tuitions are due, because your kid is going to be coming to you asking for your paycheck or your credit card. In addition to that, planning your vacation, it's also important as a family. For students, mark down when payments are due for your tuition, midterms, finals, and papers. These are key dates. So I would say ask for help, identify resources, and key dates would be the processes and the timelines that I would highly recommend, both for parent and student. And again, thank you, Haley.
Thank you, Chao. And now Pawan is going to talk to us a little bit about paying for college.
So I'm hoping within the group, what I'm sharing here is really just the basic financial aid cycle that's repeats every year. As of today, actually, the financial aid application for next year just became available. And the priority timeline to file, whether you're filing the DREAM Act application or the FAFSA, is starting October 1st through March 2nd. So March 2nd is the priority deadline, basically to be considered for any state aid. So if a student is eligible for federal aid, those typically are not driven by that March 2nd deadline. The March 2nd deadline applies to whether a student's going to be considered to be eligible for Cal Grant, the different types of Cal Grant, and or the state aid that's available to us as an institution. Because that funding is limited, that's where the priority date really comes into play for us to be fair and equitable to make that available for students who filed within that time frame. So your students who are currently here know that they're going to get a message that's going to go out to actually your entire student body early next week, letting them know that the application is available. Typically what will happen is your student will file, then if anything is due from them to complete their financial aid awards, they will get notification. They're able to see that on the student center. So Hakeem covered what, familiarize yourself and with your students to the student center. That is key. Not only are they able to keep tabs on where, my classes, enrollment, they're able to see what kind of progress I'm making, but they're also able to see what's due from me as far as forms are concerned, perhaps to a specific office, right? What do I owe the universities on your student center? So this cycle just says file your application on time. What'll happen next is we'll inform the students what's due from them to us in order to determine financial aid eligibility. Now, your students who are here with us, they're going to be considered continuing students for next year. What that means is their awards are going to be coming in probably mid to the end of next June. Why do you ask? That's because we need to look at their academic success, measure that between fall and spring. So while financial aid is available, whether it's federal or state, there are also some rights and responsibilities that a student has. And that is they need to complete at least 75% of the units that they attempted and complete them with 2.0 or above, okay? So that's what gets measured after spring grades post, which doesn't happen until the end of May. Then we run our process, which then allows us to see who is still eligible. If for some reason your student misses the mark for one piece or the other, they will be, it's called satisfactory academic progress disqualification, but they do have an opportunity to appeal. So for continuing students, that'll be that cycle. Once they're awarded, they are notified again through their Sac State email address. I mean, Hakeem, thank you. You covered a lot of the stuff that's relevant for both Chao and I. They will be notified through their Sac State email. They need to be paying attention to that. Once they've been notified, it is through their student center that they're able to accept or decline the aid that's being offered to them. We disperse financial aid about 10 days before our semester starts. And given there are no outstanding checklists, they've completed everything, there are no holds out there, money will disperse and it'll apply to the tuition fees that they owe. Anything that's left over comes to the student as a refund. Students have the ability, if they have not already, to sign up for e-refund. Again, they do that through their student center. They designate which account that this leftover money should go to, and the funds automatically get refunded after the disbursement has occurred. So let's talk about the current year right now. So we're in the midst of fall semester. We've hit about 50% of the semester already. For spring semester, students, once they enroll, financial aid will disperse 10 days before spring semester actually starts. So early January is when that disbursement will occur, okay? Student center is your friend, is your student's friend, to pay attention to what's outstanding, what's due. If they have any questions, please reach out. We will communicate via email. One item that's not on here is that the scholarship application will be available come November 1st for next academic year. And the link for that scholarship application will also be available through their student center. There is financial aid that's available in the summer, should your student choose to take classes in the summer. Typically, the eligibility is in the form of Pell Grant if they have some leftover eligibility, and or loans. But know that that funding is also available for the summer terms, should the students want to take a class or two. So that's financial aid at a very high level, overarching overview. And I will conclude with that, Haley, unless there's time for Q&A.
Thanks for covering that, Pawan. That's super important. I know people always wonder about the deadlines for scholarships. And I just want to thank our parents who have listened in and who are going to be watching the recording. Here's the contact information for the people that you've heard from today. And we probably have time for one or two quick questions, just out of respect to everybody's time. We'll keep it kind of brief. Is there anything that Shelley or Debbie that you are curious about?
I just missed the date for the scholarship application, Pawan. What was the date?
It'll be available as of November 1st.
Okay.
And it's accessible through the student center.
Okay, and it's of the November 1st this year, and it's for next fall, is that right?
It's for next fall and spring, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you so much to Chao, Pawan, and Hakeem for helping us have this conversation for first-gen families. We look forward to hearing from you all and helping you. Please let us know what we can do for you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.